And we're back at it again with another live one for all you Biconics wrestling nerds out there. And welcome to another edition of the Raw Squad reviews for Monday Night Raw. This time we are reviewing Monday Night Raw from November 6th, 2023. I almost said the 7th, but I didn't.
It's all good.
Yeah, I love it. I am one of your hosts, Mikey, and joining me tonight, the Puerto Rican bros are in the house. So, Luis, my friend, I am happy to have you back.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely enjoyed this show. I'm excited to review it with you. It's a little bittersweet today because we're missing Minnie, but it's all good. We'll make it through.
Yes, unfortunately, as my co-host said, we are missing our other third part of our trio. He unfortunately couldn't be here, but hopefully we wish him speedy recovery because ear infections are not fun.
Mhm.
And here's a speedy recovery so he could join us next Monday. But yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off of what you said. I really enjoyed this Monday Night Raw. This is actually a really fun one. You know, we put Crown Jewel in the rear view, and now the next 3 weeks is nothing but Survivor Series. And boy, howdy, Raw did their job because
Mhm.
we got pretty much 2 matches confirmed for Survivor Series, which we'll talk about when we get to those bits. But yeah, so let's just jump right into it. I
Mhm.
was pleasantly surprised because normally we start with the Judgment Day kicking off
Mhm.
Monday Night Raw. But oh no, we had Seth Rollins kicking off Monday Night Raw this week. And again, I was pleasantly surprised. Basically, this sets up everything that's going down. So he talks about Crown Jewel. He gives Drew McIntyre his kudos, for a hard fought battle. But Seth is still on top. Thus, Sami Zayn comes on out, and essentially they go back and forth, which basically sets up our main event. Seth is going to defend the title against Sami. So Sami gets a championship match shot. I thought this was a fun opening segment. What did you
Mhm.
think?
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the fact that we're piggybacking off of Sami Zayn talking about that he's a world heavyweight championship contender. I love the fact that Seth almost played into I messed up because I gave you the option and now you want to have it tonight. But I was very excited about this. I love the fact that, Seth brought up how he thanked Drew for keeping the Judgment Day out of it. And yeah, I don't necessarily like the fact that Sami Zayn stole the briefcase, but you know, whatever.
I did find that quite odd that, Damien didn't catch him because that's the briefcase. Well, I mean, since we're talking about it, so this kind of goes with the quick backstage segment. We got
Mhm.
Judgment Day are chilling backstage. Dominic comments on how he can watch Logan Paul beat his deadbeat dad over and over again.
Me too.
And thus, Damian Priest comes in all in a tizzy because he had to go to Adam Pearce's office to retrieve his briefcase.
Hmm.
And so that anger seethes into because then he talks to Finn is like, listen, I got my briefcase back. I took care of business. Now, me and you, we're going to take care of business against the New Day. And I had to remind myself because I feel like last week commentary worded it weirdly. I was like, oh, this is going to be a tag team championship match for the titles. No, it's just a non title match. I was like, huh, commentary, I need you to get it together.
Yeah,
Like,
I gotta be honest. My favorite thing right now in the Judgment Day is JD and Damien. They are giving off Team Hell No vibes, and I love it. I am a fan of it. I'm just like,
I
yo, hold up. These two are hilarious together. I hope somebody's seeing this.
they solidified the comedic duo that I wanted because again, the it lives rent free in my head of
Hmm.
Damien choking out JD against the wall.
Yeah. He's like, did
It
you pay
lives
for that
rent.
shirt?
It's like it lives rent free in my head.
Yeah.
I see, and it makes me mad because then it's gonna hurt even more when Damien ends up getting booted out. I was like,
Yep.
him and JD are gonna become best friends, and then
Gone.
he gets thrown out. I'm like, no. Listen, I need all of professional wrestling to stop giving me unconventional tag teams that I didn't know I want. And then when you give them to me, I'm excited. And then I cry when they get torn apart for whatever reason.
Hmm.
But that does lead into our first match of the evening. So in a tag team match, we have the New Day taking on the Judgment Day. Again, Kofi and Xavier are phenomenal. I love them.
Mhm.
Judgment Day is fun as ever. This was just a fun tag team
Yeah.
match, and so I mean, the foregone conclusion. I figured that the Judgment Day were going to win, but I do love that this match spawned from the fact that Halloween happened last
Yeah.
week, and this
Yeah.
spawned because trick or treating went wrong.
Yeah. I thought it was great. I'm a big fan of Damien working guys like Kofi. I feel like the two of them really meshed well together. I have my notes here. I really enjoyed the fact that like we don't get a lot of chances to see guys like Kofi Kingston wrestle guys like Damian Priest. We do get a lot of chances to see guys like Kofi wrestle Finn Balor, like the same size guys, but Damian can do so much with everybody, and I feel like people forget that. So watching him work people like this, I just really enjoyed it because Cody Rhodes is like a classic wrestler, but Kofi's not. Kofi's like I always bring up his name because I love him so much, but he's just like Chris Canyon. Like he's so innovative, and that's what's so great about it. So I really enjoyed that. Plus, I think it's high time that Xavier Woods won a singles title. We don't know when it's going to happen, but hopefully it happens before he retires. And yeah, I'm really enjoying Finn and Damien as tag team champions. I hope they keep the titles for a while.
Oh, absolutely. Of course, all four of these men are consummate professionals, so they know how to work this, and this was
Mhm.
just a lot of fun. But of course, Balor hitting the coup de grace for the pinfall victory here. Judgment Day continues to win, which I think is the right choice. They are the champions. You want to continue to build up your tag team champions,
Mhm.
which we'll talk about those tag titles because they are going to be defended next week. We come to find out.
Yup.
Um, but we go from one group of I don't want to say emo boys, but we go from one group of emo boys to another emo boy. So we're not even backstage. We're in the parking lot for this next one.
Yeah.
So which I love. I was just like, listen, I was like, be careful out there in the parking lot because as we know, the NXT parking lot is the most dangerous place in America. People are
Mhm.
getting kidnapped, beaten down. Blair Davenport like took out 3 women
Yeah.
in the NXT parking lot. But we're in the parking lot, and Drew to me, this was funny in the sense that Drew's like, I'm not dealing with this. So we kind of get an interview in the parking lot. Drew McIntyre's rolling up. He gets asked about his loss at Crown Jewel, but McIntyre doesn't say a word.
Mhm.
Instead, he turns back around, he gets in his car, and he leaves.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we're almost there. We're
Yeah.
almost there.
Mhm. We're almost there. He's going to be the fifth member. He's going to be the fifth member of War Games, but we'll get there too at the end of
Yeah.
the show. Clearly.
Oh, I can't wait to speculate because oof, that's going to be fun.
Mhm.
So after Sad Boy Drew leaves, we go back into the arena where we get Shinsuke Nakamura versus Akira Tozawa,
Mhm.
and I didn't know I wanted this match until I watched
Yeah.
it.
Tozawa's super underrated.
That's what I was about to say. That I was like,
He better.
Shinsuke, but I love Shinsuke, but Tozawa, I feel like is finally pushing through after not being utilized. Period for the last
He better
couple
win
of
that
years.
cup tonight.
Oh my gosh, I hope he wins that Heritage Cup. That would be the icing on the cake. And I think he did listen, I'm here for camp. I've loved his whole part of the haunted house segment from last
Mhm.
week, and I love it. But again, like you said, I feel like Akira Tozawa is very underrated because yes, he's kind of the jokey character for Alpha Academy. Lest we forget, he's actually pretty good in the ring too.
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely enjoy him, and Shinsuke can do no wrong. This version of his character is the best version we've gotten since he was in New Japan. He's he's excelling right now.
Right. Of course, the Kinshasa from Shinsuke to Tozawa for Shinsuke to pick up the win. After the match, though, Otis gets in Shinsuke's face, takes the shirt off, and Shinsuke's like, nah, we're good, and just leaves.
Yeah, But we're
Honestly, I
getting
don't.
that next week now.
Yes, I'm excited. Listen, Otis versus Shinsuke was not on my wrestling bingo card, but I'm happy that it is now.
Mhm.
It's just gonna be a good time. So from here, we get a very lengthy package for Natalia. Like this is
Mhm.
like Hall of Fame induction
Yeah.
like video package. I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm on the island here, but I feel like Natalia doesn't get her dues in a
Mhm.
sense. Now, granted, not everyone likes her, and I totally understand that. But I feel that Natalia has done everything that she's been given from, you know, being weird, kind of stalkery to the farting gimmick that we had here. The farting gimmick was horrible. I'm just putting it
Mhm.
out there. I hated that for her.
Yeah. My issue with Natalia is why don't we get the version of Natty that we get when we see these clips of her working with the young girls? That Natty looks like she can go with anybody. And that's not the Natty we get in the ring. We get a slower, more like methodical Natty, and I just don't want that.
No, I am stealing our other co-host JVL and Professor's idea. They want her to lead a women's stable and call it the Heart Dungeon, where it's exactly that, where she's just like she takes women, she teaches them,
Yeah.
and essentially should we get a more hard-hitting version of Natalia, which I think is the best Natalia in my opinion too.
Mhm. Yeah, give us that. That would be amazing. Roxanne Perez, Nikki Cross, just have like make it just some crazy ass people, you know?
Agreed. And then from one vignette, we go into another. This time, Adam Pierce has a whole entire segment to himself where he explains his reasoning for picking the four individuals that he did to be in this Intercontinental Championship Eliminator bout to see who will challenge Gunther next for the title. And then we just jump straight in. So we have a WWE Intercontinental Championship Eliminator match where we see The Miz, Bronson Reed, Ivar, and Ricochet. Okay, so I want to state first by saying this. Prior to the ending and everything that happened in the ending, this match, awesome. I loved it.
Yes. I 1,000% agree. And what I loved was that commentary pointed out how good Miz looked. This was like a really different version. You can tell he he went to the Finn Balor slash Prince Devitt school of thought because when Balor was Prince Devitt, he used to say when he became a heel, he took everything that you loved about Prince Devitt. I'm taking it away from you. If I do this, I'm not doing it anymore because I'm a heel and I need you to boo me. You can tell that The Miz has been able to work this style for a very long time, but because he was a heel for what, 20 years, he was like, I don't need to give you this version. But now he looks great as a baby face. And it's, I'm excited for this.
Oh,
Ricochet, Ivar, and
absolutely.
Bronson are phenomenal in their own right. My son was actually rooting really hard for Bronson.
I love Bronson Reed too. And I'm spoiled because initially when he was released, I got to see him work the New Japan scene. He did a stint in Impact, and that was a lot of fun to watch too. But I am happy to see Bronson back. I also feel that I'm glad to see Bronson kind of get utilized more underneath
Mhm.
Triple H because when he initially got signed back, we really didn't do much with Bronson. And there were hints that they were trying to turn him into the next Funkadactyl. I was like, "No, get that out of here." I was just
Yeah.
like, "I don't." Oof.
Nah, you
You
leave
know,
my Samoan Vader alone.
seriously. Listen, I will never forget Bronson versus Jeff Cobb was a match that I was not ready for.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy, but this match had a lot of the stuff I love about wrestling. Ivar and Bronson, like my big men slapping meat segments. So it's just like
Hmm.
that's all I need. And then of course Ivar is big, but he's also very agile as well. Ricochet selling left and right.
Yeah. He worked his ass off in this match.
I love it. This was a lot of fun. The moonsaults, the tsunami, but missing. So let's just get into the elephant in the room, no pun intended. So we get to this ending.
Mhm.
Ivar and Miz each go for a pin,
Mhm.
and the ref counts, but there's legitimacy that both men kind of got the pin,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of confusion of who won between Ivar and Miz.
Mhm.
And
So,
yeah,
yeah, so the it was reported today as I look here. The IC title match was the contender match was a botch apparently. Miz versus Ivar is on for next week's Raw is booked. Was originally going to be number 1 contender between the two of them, but last night's finish caused the change as it appears. So we're looking at that match, them making up for it with the one-on-one, since we have obviously the Miz wins the match and Ivar attacks him after. I guess that was impromptu and it works out because now we're going to get another match, and it's almost like Miz is going to have to go through he's going to have to go through hell to get through Gunther, and that's going to be hell anyway.
that is very, very true. And I will say this, like, I mean, mistakes happen. This is
Mhm.
live. This is live. People are performing in front of the audience, so things like this happen. It just kind of sucks. But I think Miz and Ivar did a good job of ad libbing that ending right there. And so, like you said, now we're getting Ivar versus Miz next week to determine who the true number one contender is.
Yeah.
Which I actually don't mind, given the fact that with that out of the way, Miz is not spinning his wheels for 2 weeks trying to figure out, how do we quickly build to this. I'm pretty sure we're getting this at Survivor Series. Yeah, I
Yes,
feel like
Miz
I
versus Gunther.
I feel like that has to be at
Yeah.
Survivor Series because the United States Championship, that thing's not coming off of Logan until WrestleMania, I think, is what I'm predicting. But we'll see. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So from here, so I felt like a proud parent here, and the
Mm.
reason why is because the NXT kids, me and my other co-host Will, we have adopted them in our heads, and they're all our little babies. So seeing the Creeds and Ivy Nile, the entirety of Diamond Nut Mine, like on screen signing contracts to officially join Monday Night Raw, made me cry a little
Yeah.
bit because I was like, my God, you guys went through a lot. You went through changes with Roddy and Damon Kemp leaving the group. The Creeds were off of television for a little bit because they lost the loser leaves NXT.
Mhm.
Ivy had to fight for herself for a couple weeks. And then since their cage match with the Dyad, they've just continually shown that, oh, they're so good. They're so good.
Yeah.
So I wanted to take this moment to say I'm very proud of them.
Yeah, I love everything about them. The two of them, they're going to be stars. I don't think there's a Marty Jannetty in the group, and I think Ivy, she's got the goods, as we see later on. She's got the goods to be a major player in the women's division for the future. So I think, and I hate to say this because I don't want to bash her because she's not there anymore. I feel like Ivy is going to be what they always wanted. Um, what was her name to be? Oh my god, I just blanked on her name. Wow. The muscle chick.
Oh, oh my gosh, why am I forgetting her name? It's not Rhonda.
No, it's not Rhonda. My god, we forgot about her. So I guess that's true. She will be that version that they always wanted. But yeah, I think Ivy's going to be one of those stars where she's in it for the long haul. I think the three of them are going to be super successful.
I loved it. So they're signing their contracts backstage. Adam Pierce also says, again, throwing shade at Nick Aldis and continuing to build GM mode IRL is what I'm
Mhm.
calling it, like a WWE 2K game. He's like, I'm glad you signed to our brand and not that other brand.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, I'm also glad you signed to Raw because SmackDown right now is having trouble with men's tag. Well, the men's tag team division is fun, but I don't feel the Creeds would be utilized properly
No.
on SmackDown.
Hell no.
Don't get me wrong, Creeds versus Pretty Deadly would be fun as all heck, but yeah, I think Raw has a better selection of men's tag teams for them to challenge themselves. which is exactly what happened. So as soon as they sign their contracts, DIY walks into the room and essentially sets up what we get next. So it's coming up next. We have the Creeds taking on DIY, which made me excited.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so let's just jump straight into this match. So for me personally, and I hate to say it because I love Imperium, I really, really do. But this is more of the DIY style match that I was expecting than last week's was. And I
Mm.
don't know if that has to do with the Creeds being a little bit younger or the style of wrestling that the Creeds do. But this this match made me like DIY. I was like, I wasn't too keen on the match last week, but I was like, oh, I'm all in for this one.
Yeah. No, this was phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. I thought this was very NXT. I mean, I had no critiques of this match. I thought it was a perfect tag match. This was actually my match of the night, which is used to be a normal thing for Johnny Gargano, but I'm not the biggest Tommaso Ciampa fan. I don't get it. I know a lot of people like to tell me I'm wrong. That's fine.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't get it. I'm just like, all right, whatever. Like, yeah, he's
Well,
cool.
okay, well, let's pause real quick because we got some time still. So I want to hear, and I'm not putting you on the spot because
Mm,
I was like, how dare you like burn him at the stake? But I'm curious because I'm always wanting to learn more about my co-host. So
mm.
how come you're not? So just so in your own words, you tell me. So is it about Tommaso that doesn't necessarily gel with you, or you don't get?
I think he's the generic heel. I don't think there's anything that stands out. I think even the Goldie thing, it just doesn't really it felt very Shane Douglas to me. It didn't feel very authentic. And I remember watching and being like, okay, I get it. He's a good in-ring worker, but the character that he's trying to portray, it just didn't vibe with me. I mean, it wasn't enough for me to hate on it like the way I hate on Finn Balor's heel run, but I definitely just was like, all right, whatever. Like, and the thing is, he just looks like a grump. So even though he's a babyface right now, I'm expecting him to betray Johnny Gargano any second now. Like, I'm just expecting it to happen.
So here's the thing. So this is the part where I say you're wrong. No, I was kidding. I'm listen. I'm more open minded than most people are in the internet wrestling community. Yes, I said it. You could come fight me in the comments if you disagree, but I wanted to keep an open mind. And when you laid it out there, so I personally in ring, I love Tommaso Ciampa. I think he's a
Mhm.
good in ring performer, and I love DIY because again, Black and Gold NXT is what I mostly tuned in for
Oh
because
yeah,
I that's when I mainly discovered NXT, and then that's what kept me around was Black and Gold. And
Black
I
and
was
Gold
one of
was
the few
it.
people, yeah, Black and Gold was it. And I feel vindicated because I stuck around through the horrible first couple of months of 2.0.
Holy hell, I think they lost everything. I really think their flip to 2.0 is why AEW started beating them because it sure as shit wasn't AEW's product.
Ooh, so we'll discuss that at the end
As
because
I wear an AEW shirt on our Raw show.
but listen, we got to support our Puerto Ricans, man.
Hmm.
Like I s- I said it on the Rampage review. That match should have been given more time and been put on a dynamite. That's neither here nor there.
That should have been a pay per view match.
I'm sad I didn't get to see it at Full Gear, but we'll discuss that later at the odds and ends. But back to Tommaso Ciampa. I agree with you in a sense. I love him and like I'm
Hmm.
biased about it, but I also think that his character is very yeah, it's very paint by numbers. It's very
Hmm.
generic. And that's nothing wrong about it cuz sometimes I like my generic characters. But I think for me is that I'm not saying you have to do a complete 180 in terms of personality, but his face and heel doesn't necessarily change.
Hmm.
And honestly, and again, this is a weird way. If Tommaso Ciampa, I think Tommaso Ciampa would have a better reception with a lot of people who kind of think of him on the same lines as you do. And this is not a hate or dig at Tommaso because I love you and I know he can kick my butt any day of the week. But I think if he got more charisma. He could be WWE's version of Mark Briscoe, just less insane and less chicken kung fu.
I don't think he's anything near Mark Briscoe.
Well,
Mark Briscoe's one of the most talented wrestlers on the planet. What the hell? Yeah, I
again,
don't. Yeah, what?
it's he's like, well, Luis is like, it's like, well, this is the last time I'm on this show. Thanks to guys.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, Mark and Jay were special, man. Like, Mark is still special. Like, I'm looking for, like, we're getting Mark Briscoe versus Jay White this Wednesday, and I'm like
Oh
freaking
Lord.
out. I'm
Okay.
freaking out.
We'll talk about it when we get to the end of this review because, like,
Yeah.
I have thoughts and opinions and I'm also excited. But bottom line, I think if Tommaso found more charisma, I
Mhm.
think he would be well more received with the majority of the audience. I
Yeah.
personally still like him. DIY is great. But again, going back to this match, I agree with you. This is also my match of the night. And then also, we're not done with the story we have because we had some Imperium
Mhm.
interference. I was like,
Yeah.
that kick, man. I'm like, ooh, Ludwig's kick. I was like, oh, that sounded like it hurt. Stop
Yeah. He does
it.
a really good job. His insecurity is really solid. I love that we got to see the finish again, and the finish looked cleaner than it did last week too.
Right. I was like, how do you keep improving that finisher, you guys? Like
Well, this
it
time, I
keeps
mean, this
oh,
time Julius could like he could probably carry like four. You know, he could probably carry like four of them. So, I mean,
that's
last week he
very,
was
very true.
carrying Otis. That was a little different.
I mean, that's very, very true. But also that was also a beautiful money shot. But
Hmm.
thanks to Imperium interference, the Creeds do pick up the victory over DIY, which I am also happy that the Creeds won on their official first match now that they're signed for Raw because
Hmm.
last week they were still with NXT, but this is their first official win and the possibilities for the Creeds of the tag team division makes me very excited because of the tag teams that we have in the men's division on Raw is awesome.
Hmm.
Creeds and DIY, Imperiums, if we ever get the other half of the Viking Raiders to come back, speedy recovery according to the reports. God, that has to suck, man. Like
Yeah.
that neck injuries are no fun.
Yeah.
Judgment Day, New Day. Listen, New Day and the Creeds, I think is something that I want to see so bad just because
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, all right, how common so who's gonna out comedy the other? Because
Mhm.
Creeds are very corny, but I like their corniness.
Yeah.
I love it. So after this match, we get I haven't seen one of these hype packages in a long time, but it's just like coming in February in Australia, the Elimination Chamber. I'm like, you have Rhea, you have Duke Hudson in NXT, did have Emma at one point, but man, that still hurts me. She's like, oh, as soon as it got announced, it's like, I get to perform in my hometown. Oh, never mind. I got let go.
Yeah. That's rough.
Oh my goodness. But
I
so,
love
and
Emma too.
I do too, man. She's so great, and WWE constantly doesn't. Ugh,
I loved everything she did. I really thought she stood out. She stood out from the pack.
I agree, and I'm just sad because I'm like, we didn't get her. I was just like, I love Tennille Dashwood. Like, ugh,
But it's cool because Tony Khan better give us, Tennille versus Soraya because I need that match in my life again.
oh, seriously. Oh my gosh,
Hmm.
I'm so excited. And I want to talk a little bit about Elimination Chamber towards the end because with reports of what's going to plan, because everyone's like, Cody's got to finish the story. I'm like, you guys, I hate to tell you, Cody's not winning this Rumble. Like, but I do believe if this is where I'm thinking in my Booker hat, Cody's going to win the Elimination Chamber because that's how Asuka got her title shot
Hmm.
last year at WrestleMania. She won the Women's Elimination Chamber. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But after this hype package, backstage, Sami Zayn's watching the highlight reel of him coming so close, but ultimately losing to Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber when it was in Canada last year. Listen, I got emotional when I was watching that. I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to lose, but it's going to be fantastic. And it was. and then they
Yeah,
dragged it out for too long.
I did not want him to beat Roman. I would have been very angry. I would have been very angry if he beat Roman. I
I
don't
knew
want
he
that.
wasn't going to, but I was just like, "Oh my god, he's in the front of this home crowd. You're gonna lose, but it's gonna be a beautiful moment." And that it was.
I might cry when Roman loses the title. Like, I don't
I'm
want
al-
Roman to lose
I'm
that
also
title.
going to cry, but I'm also going to cry of happiness.
Nope. Nope. I'll be so angry. I'll
See,
be like, I just love Roman so much. Just
I
that's
know, like
it's just
Roman's character. See, I don't dislike Roman the character or Joe the person either. I
yeah.
love both of them. I think they for both the characters are great and the person is even better.
Hmm.
It's just that the only thing I hate, and I don't even blame him. I just hate that WWE is trying to go for these breaking these records. I was like, I get it, you guys, but holy shit, we've had 3 years of this. I'm ready. I'm ready for him to drop it at some point. And that's just me personally. And that's
Yeah.
only because of how I was affected when Cody lost at WrestleMania. See, it was one thing because when we did the WrestleMania review, just to kind of recap and to peek behind the curtain, the guys that watched it via Peacock were like, "Oh man, that sucks." Watching Cody lose live in person in that stadium with a bunch
Mm.
of other people, man, it just hits a whole lot of different emotional points. And literally, it was 2-hour car ride back home because we was headed home after that. And for the first hour and a half of that car ride, the three of us, me, Evan, and my friend Uriel, who went with us, we just sat in silence, contemplating all our life choices that we made
Oh.
up until that point.
I don't know. I predicted it was gonna happen. Like I did the prediction show before Mania, and I remember I remember saying like Roman's gonna win, and there's gonna be so many angry people. The only thing I didn't like about that was the ending of the match. Three crossroads,
And
and he
still,
he walked in like he just speared him like nothing, and I was like, what? Like you gotta sell this finish.
Okay, yeah. See, I think that was my biggest issue. Is it's like it sucked that Cody lost, but I think what made it more like hurt me more is I'm like three crossroads, and then it took I was like, nah. See,
Yeah, well,
mm-mm.
I just hate this version of wrestling that we have right now with like we're gonna kick out of every single finisher. I'm just like, God damn it. When Seth Rollins kicked out of that Claymore this week, I was so angry. And I was angry with Drew for kicking out of the stomp the first time too. I was like, why is this a thing? Why?
I'm like
I hate
finishers need to be protected. You
Yeah.
guys, like I hate. Ugh, I don't know, man. And we could talk about this. Could be a whole discussion for another one because like
Mm.
I hated. Yeah, I hated getting kicked out of the curb stomp, getting kicked out of the Claymore. But then I'm like, I look at another thing like Mike Bailey kicking out of the Hidden Blade when he had his match against Will Ospreay at Bound for Glory a couple weeks ago. I was like, see, for some reason, I don't hate that, but I'm
Well,
just like, yeah. What
everybody's gonna be kicking out of Will Ospreay's finisher when he signs with WWE.
I actually, yeah. Well, you know what? We'll talk about it. Let's get through the rest of this review because there's so much I want to talk about, and I don't get a chance to talk new stuff. But Sami Zayn just watching the recap of him losing. Jay Uso comes up, apologizes for that time. Sammy says water under the bridge, and Jay lets Sammy know that him and Cody have a rematch for those tag team championships next week. So it's just like, there it is.
Hmm.
I'm
The
not gonna
Judgment
lie.
Day,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'm not gonna lie. After Survivor Series, I hope we separate the Judgment Day boys with everybody else because I was like, this iteration of the vortex of Cody, Sammy, Jay, and the Judgment Day boys. I was just like, we got to do something else with the men's division, singles
That's all
division.
right.
Like,
That's all right. When Jay gets traded for LA Knight and after LA Knight wins the Rumble, we'll be good.
you think LA Knight's winning the Rumble?
Yeah, I do.
Ooh,
I do.
okay. I'm gonna put a pin in that because I'm gonna come back to this towards the end. So, another backstage segment. We see my girl Becky Lynch.
Yes.
and she read Nia Jax the riot act, and it was.
Oh my god.
But see,
How
here's the
Becky keeps getting away with these things are just the way she torched Rhea Ripley a couple of months ago and
listen.
how
It's
she
just
does it
like when
now with Nia.
exactly. So let's recap for the folks who may not remember. So a couple weeks ago, Becky had a run in with Rhea,
Yup.
and Rhea was trying to be slick with it, and then she caught these verbal hands from Becky because Becky's like, "When I held that title, I was the main event, and now you're just the main event side piece to the Judgment Day." I'm like, "Damn, Becky!" I was
Yup.
just like, "That was brutal," but you're also speaking facts.
Yup. She
Because at that
was.
time, Rhea wasn't. Oh God, I want to pretend
It
that
was
period did.
pre-SummerSlam. It was
Yeah, it was pre
pre-SummerSlam.
SummerSlam. I
Mhm.
was like, "Oh my gosh, what are we doing with Rhea?" And then now here, Nia Jax comes in as she's being interviewed. And Nia Jax is just like, "Remember that time I broke your face?" And then Becky, once again, just full on ammunition, like click, click, bang.
Mhm.
She tells Nia Jax, is like, if I remember correctly, I went on to main event and win WrestleMania, and then you went on to get fired. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like,
Just
call the ambulance, call the burn ward, somebody
the
get some
way
aloe
and
vera.
Nia sold that shit, like, that hurt her feelings. Like, that was really good. Yeah.
So yeah, see, I like Nia Jax, and I am happy that she is back. I think she
Mhm.
brings something different for the women's division. Because listen, I love Raquel, but trying to make her the big strong woman of the division is not working out. Like
It's
it is.
working for me. She looks great. That segment with her and Rhea at the Crown Jewel, I was like, yeah, this is what I want. I want like a best of 7 series between those 2.
But okay, so here's the thing. So yes, I am invested in that because now we're getting shades of Raquel from Black and Gold NXT. Like, because before I was like, listen, I love Liv, but her and Raquel teaming, I was never the
Mhm.
biggest fan, and I love both of them, but I felt like that's kind of stifled both of them. And I'm also one of the few people that actually likes Liv Morgan.
Yeah, I
um,
guess you are because I am not.
and that is totally okay. But I will say I love Liv, but I'm kind of ready as soon as Alexa's ready
I
to come
like the
back.
OG version of Liv Morgan.
I think that's what it is. Like this
Yeah. I
crazy
think
Harley Quinn one is like okay, but
oh, no, 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 I'm talking about not the Mark, I'm talking about the OG, I'm talking about Alexa Bliss.
oh okay.
I feel like Liv Morgan's the Walmart version of Alexa Bliss.
She's the wish.com.
Yeah, she's the Wish, yeah. Like, give
I
me
need me
Alexa,
Alexa back.
like, hurry up, that little baby, like, get that baby out and get back to WWE, because we miss you, like, a
Yes,
lot.
I miss you too, but also congratulations on being married and having a child
Yeah,
because
yeah. Yeah.
we here at the Iconics do not support. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
No, but I
No.
do miss her. I think she would add something, and when she's ready to come back, I'm excited to see that. So from here, we jump into our number one women's contender battle royale. The winner
Mhm.
gets will face Rhea at Survivor Series, and again, this match ruled.
Mhm.
And I have to say, this is probably my favorite women's battle royale with the current women's roster of Raw that we had because
Mhm.
there are so many good contenders here. Obviously, we knew I was really proud that they let Ivy stay in as long as she did.
Yeah.
like, like Ivy was the final five. I was just like, oh, thank goodness, because usually I'm programmed that when NXT girls come up, they are the first thrown out in half of these. But Becky didn't even get it. First of all, let's talk about it.
Love it.
Becky didn't get a chance to enter because Xia Li comes up and knocks her out with a roundhouse kick. It was like, bam.
Love it.
And Becky sold that. She's like, "Where am I? It's what day of the week is it?"
Mhm.
I was just like, ugh.
I love it, and then Zaya gets ejected, and she's like, "What did I just do?" Like, I love the whole sell of it. I thought it was great, and the right person won, by the way.
Oh, let's talk about that because I am so happy about this because I was like,
Mm,
we're probably gonna get Raquel or they're gonna give it to Nia. I was just like, listen, I'm nothing wrong with Raquel or Nia, but I was like,
mm,
but we've had they like I'm like Nia just came back. I don't think we put her in a
mhm.
championship match yet. And I'm like, and Raquel already had her opportunity not that long ago. had to
Yeah.
had to backlash. Like I was like, oh, fine, I guess. But no, first of all, I was excited with the final two because it was Zoe and Shayna. I was just like, yes. I was like, Shayna's listen, I want Shayna to actually win the championship at some point, but I love that Shayna is still, even in a loss, is being shown like this is the Shayna from NXT that I wanted so
Oh my
badly. I
god,
was
you
just
sound like my son. This is
like,
him. I remember watching that WrestleMania with Becky versus Shayna, and I'm over here chanting, wearing my Becky Lynch shirt, and he's like, Shayna, Shayna. I'm like, what is wrong with you? You are my
well,
son.
me and your, I mean, I'm taking your son to the dock, son. Just
Yeah.
kidding. No,
Just
I've always been a fan of Shayna, and I like listen. I love my wrestlers, but I also love my nerdy gaming wrestlers. And Shayna
Mhm.
Baszler will whip my ass in a game of Tekken any day. Like Jesus. But again, Zoe Stark winning here for me is the right choice because Zoe Stark has had since being on the main roster.
Mhm.
She like I still want her to work on her mic skills a little bit, but that's okay. You know, we are here to learn. I think she does okay for me, but man, she's had such a good trajectory since coming to main roster, being with paired up with Trish for a little bit, and then I felt like she was the glue in that Fatal Five Way in terms of like between transitioning from spots to different
Yes.
exits. I want to shout out the camera guy from that match too, because when Zoe jumped off the rope and dived into the women near the ramp, like the way that he fell over,
Mhm.
but it was like horror movie found footage type of stuff. I was like, oh, that was beautiful. And I forgot
I'm a
what.
fan.
Oh, that's so good.
I'm a fan. I took Arthur to go see wrestling at Hershey, and she came out, and the first thing that caught my eye was her theme music. I was like, "Yo, this is a dope ass song," and I listened to it on the way home because we live about 50 minutes from Hershey Park, and that's where they come to, and I'm a fan of hers. I don't understand. Like, and people say she's not great at promos. I'm like, she doesn't have to be great because she's so good in the ring. I dig it. I don't really like that people say she looks like she belongs on the Real Housewives of New York because she like because
That's so rude.
I'm just like, yo, you guys need to calm down. But like, nah, I think she's
Wow.
a great worker. I'm looking forward to this. Like, I think, this is gonna sound really like weird. So just roll with me for a little bit. I think this is the closest we're ever gonna get to see Buddy Murphy versus Rhea Ripley in a ring because Zoe works just like Buddy. It's
Oh, absolutely.
insane. And I was watching. Man, I'm looking forward to it. And now that we saw Rhea take her finish, that makes it even better. So we know she could hit her finish on her, which Zoe says to her, by the way.
I mean, let's jump into that because as soon as this match is over, backstage, Rhea Ripley is being interviewed where she talks about how the Judgment Day boys are going to be taking care of business next week, just like I'll be taking care of business. And then Zoe comes in and comes face to face with Rhea and basically confronts her, telling her that you better be ready. And I was just like, yes. I was like,
Give
this
it
is
to
how
me.
you do a quick build for me. You don't wait till next week for this like face off to happen. This immediately happened right after Zoe wins. She's like, I won. I'll see you at Survivor Series. Be ready. And again, with what happened in that Fatal Five Way, like I am excited. I am happy to see Rhea and Zoe. I was just like, oh, this is gonna be so good.
Hmm.
So then we jump into our main event for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. Sami Zayn takes on Seth Rollins.
Hmm.
I will say I did appreciate that we actually got the match all the way to the end, and then shenanigans happened afterwards.
Hmm.
But obviously, I was like, Seth is not going to lose this. I thought this was a fun match. I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah. I was fine with it. I mean, they're both phenomenal wrestlers, so you can't really take anything away. Like Sami Zayn is one of the most underrated wrestlers that WWE's ever had. I don't think people realize how good of a performer he is. I think people just go back to the Johnny Knoxville match and they're like, without realizing he's one of the best walking the earth today. And obviously, we know Seth Rollins is a top four talent in the business today. I mean, just the two of these guys, they really did well for a Monday Night Raw. Uh, I was happy that we didn't get like we got like a pinfall victory, but we didn't get like it wasn't one guy hit their finisher on the next guy. I thought it was good because it leaves it open ended, almost like a you just got me. Like next time, I think I could get you. But if he hits like the blackout, on Sammy and pins him that way, then it's almost like I gave you your shot and then I stomped your face in. So or whatever they're calling it now, the stomp, the blackout, I don't know. And but yeah, I really enjoyed that. And then obviously, we gotta do like we gotta bring it up, man. We gotta bring it up. These are Ring of Honor boys, and they did the Code of Honor. Like,
That made my little Ring of Honor heart proud, and I hope it makes the rest of my Ring of Honor co-hosts proud too. But then something that wasn't very Code of Honor. So Sammy leaves. He proceeds to walk up the ramp, as the match is over. And then all the Judgment Day boys come out. And the best way to describe it is brawl happens. So Sammy's getting beat up. Seth dives in. The numbers game is too much. Then Jay and Cody come in to equalize. Everyone is like fighting. Security
mhm.
pull them apart. Adam Pierce tries to dust his bet. Listen, there. I don't care what nobody says. There's just something different when William Regal is the one to announce War Games. And I was just like, Adam Pierce, you tried, but nothing is ever going to replace my British William Regal saying War Games. But essentially, that's exactly what it is. So your men's war game match are the Judgment Day boys of Damian Priest, Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, and JD McDonough taking on the team of Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins, which I was kind of surprised to see, um, Cody Rhodes, and Jey Uso. So currently it's 4-on-4. And then I'm sitting here, I'm like, 4-on-4, I was just like, okay, that sounds right. But I was like, I feel like we're gonna add a fifth member because that's exactly what we did last year. So I'm like, speculating. I'm like, all right, who's gonna be the fifth member for each? So
Mhm.
that does bring us to the end. So really quick, let's do ratings and then let's the speculation begin of who could be the fifth for each team. So uh really quickly, I'll go first. I will be using the empanada scale as the Puerto Rican badasses are doing this review. Uh I am going to give this a solid 3.75 empanadas out of 5. I thought this was one of the better episodes of Raw. I've enjoyed Monday Night Raw, but I will say now that Crown Jewel is in the rear view, I can tell that now everybody is ready to get building up to the Chicago pay-per-view of Survivor Series.
Mhm.
There wasn't really a lot I didn't like. There were maybe some things I was like it could have been tighter or cleaner, but I thought this was phenomenal.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a four empanadas out of five. I thought it was great. I actually, I missed William Regal at the end, but Scrap Iron, we got Scrap Iron, Adam Pierce. Like it's all good. Like it's just good. I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was great because I mean, we waited till the end to get Cody, so they didn't like force. Like they're doing such a great job of keeping Cody like low key, and I like that. It makes me enjoy him more as a character. We got extra Seth Rollins. He drops that. Like, I love the fact that he reminded everybody that he runs Monday Night Raw, that it's Monday Night Rollins. It's not Monday Night Mommy. She could try, but it's not, and I really enjoyed the show. I thought it was great. Loved the Creed Brothers match with DIY. I loved Zoe Stark getting a win. I love that right now. I can't decide if Becky Lynch is my favorite right now or if it's Chelsea Green. But, I mean, they're both. I love the fact that Chelsea is prominent every single week. She has to be on television. She's way
Bro,
too good. You can't keep her off TV right now.
Bro, she had that digital exclusive with Snitsky online. I was
Yeah.
like, bro, I was like,
Yeah.
what?
It wasn't his fault. That's right. I mean, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was a really big fan of this show. Loved it, loved it. And now on to the speculation.
Okay, let's speculate. So we have our first four members, but I was just like, wait a minute. It's usually 5-on-5. So now who's going to end up being the fifth members for each team? So first of all, with the Judgment Day, I'm gonna be honest. I think Mr. Drew McIntyre is going to be
Yup.
the fifth member for the Judgment Day boys.
100% agree. I don't have a different theory there.
No, so I think Drew McIntyre is going to be the fifth man for the Judgment Day boys. And just to solidify the heel turn, Broken Dreams will be playing as he makes his way down the ring.
Mm,
Just putting it out there.
that would be cool.
Listen, if I can get that right, I will forever retire. I was just like, I got that right. I'm going to retire. Thank you so much. Now, the key question is for the face team: Cody, Seth, Sammy, and Jay. So, can I can I be
Go
honest
ahead.
with you?
Go ahead.
Because of how much we've teased this man, I swear to God, and who knows, it may or may not happen. My big wild prediction is that it's Mr. CM Punk himself would be the fifth member, but some safe bets. I was just like, somehow, I don't know. I I can't I can't think of anyone else except for Punk. You're in Chicago. You've been teasing this man for quite some time. Again, I could be wrong. I
I
probably
want
am.
I want to agree with you, but I have these voices in my head.
Oh my gosh, I did not even
S-
think of Randy Orton.
I think it's going to be one of those things where Cody says he needs backup and it's legacy. You know what I mean? So I'm expecting for it has to be somebody that would get the crowd to not turn on the person like they did Rey Mysterio at Royal Rumble 2015.
Ooh,
It has to be somebody, and Randy Orton's a legend. I mean, so is Ray, but just in sense of like, r- there's a big portion of us that are big Randy Orton fans, and I know for me, a couple of months ago, I thought he was done. I thought that we were done with Randy, and I was like, "You've got to be kidding me!" And he's my Puerto Rican brother. He's Puerto Rican by injection because he has like he's married to a Puerto Rican woman. So I'm just excited that he's coming back, and I really hope it's him. I really hope it's him. Plus the history with Drew McIntyre,
that's
and I
very
want to
fair.
see and I want to see him RKO Rhea Ripley.
Listen, I all I know is I'm really excited for War Games. I was like, the
Hmm.
speculation was just like, oh, we may not do it. I was like, listen, if you don't do a War Games match at Survivor Series, I may or may not be tuning into this pay per view.
Hmm.
I'll be like, after Rhea and Zoe, be like, all right, click.
Yep.
Now the question becomes, and I don't think we need. Listen, I love a women's War Games match, but from the stories that we've been telling, I don't think we have. The women's one doesn't need a War Games match.
Mm-mm.
And I'm afraid, and I hope they don't go this route, but so let's talk a little bit about news. So we had a return at for the women's division for WWE, a return at Crown Jewel. Again, I love this woman to death. Miss Kyrie Sane is back in WWE, and
Mhm.
I love this more heel look of her, just with the colored hair and just a little bit darker. I I loved it. And so she joined up with Io, and Bailey's like, "Oh my gosh, what is happening?" But
Mhm.
Io and Kyrie Sane are probably going to form a little duo. And my only thing, WWE, please give me my WWE version of the Black Lotus. Like, that is what I want so bad. I was like, give me that from Lucha Underground.
Well, listen, I'm excited for this,
Uh oh.
but I'm more excited for the third member because I think they're gonna like kick. They're just gonna like end damage control, and I think in a couple of months it's gonna be Io and Kyrie and Julia, and
You think
and
it's oh
and
listen,
I'm just thinking that when that happens, they're gonna take over.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you. If WWE ends up signs Julia and takes her from Stardom, I'm just like, we're trying to keep it PG on this podcast, but let's just say that I will be spent.
Yo, listen, I Julia versus Rhea Ripley would
Oh my god, give
be
it to me now.
just. I'm just. Oh my god. I absolutely think
Oh,
that's something that needs to happen because nobody wrestles like Julia. She's so different from anybody else. Like
oh,
when you watch her
absolutely.
and well, obviously her and Kyrie slapped the shit out of each other. So let's hope they don't actually work each other. In WWE, I don't think they'll ever let them work like that. But yeah, Julia is definitely WWE bound. I believe that wholeheartedly. She better not go to AEW. They don't know how to use their women over there.
No, I absolutely. So, okay, so like again, a lot of my takes are me on my island by myself, but yes, I would love to see Julia. But then, of
Mhm.
course, according to the reports, it's going to be more than one person. There's going to be a few people joining this EO faction. Now, obviously, Ray's name was brought up, but she signed with a company, so I don't think that's happening. Which I'm sad because I like Saray. And then I
Mhm.
completely forgot. I mean, people are like, "Oh, Oscar should be in it." I was like, "Guys, I'm going to tell you the same thing I did when Swerve was in WWE. You don't need to put all the Asian women in one faction."
Mhm.
But then
Yeah.
I'm about to say a name, and then it's exactly the opposite of what I said because I was just like, okay, Io, Kyrie, and Julia. I was like, these are all younger women. But if you want,
Mhm.
for me personally, if you wanted to give this a deadly, advantage, WWE still has one name signed to them, according to what I could find, because I haven't heard her being released or, not being there. I listen, Judgment Day has mommy, but this new version of Black Lotus or whatever they're going to call themselves, you bring in Mother herself and Mako Satomura. Lord have mercy. I listen, and I feel like I'm one of the few people that loves Mako Satomura, and I don't care if I'm wrong in saying this, but if you want to throw Mako in there, I am all for it.
Listen, I'm excited because that means my girl Bailey is gonna be like prime time right now.
Oh,
Like,
she's set for this baby face run.
yeah, it's gonna be, and I don't think people understand. Like, I think people forgot how good Bailey is. Like, I think she's played this role pretty well, and she's done really good. It's changed her career. But we're about to get a version of Bailey that I don't think we've ever seen before. And I think people need to pay attention because Bailey's the type of person that she can bring you in. She can either make you love her or make you hate her. And I think she's going to make people love her so much that people are going to be clamoring for her to be in the title picture. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be good. I'm
I'm
excited.
really, really excited.
Yeah.
Man, I'm really excited for Survivor Series and just where the next couple weeks leads us.
Yeah, I'm excited for all of the bitching and moaning on the internet when CM Punk doesn't come back at Survivor Series, and they wait till the Rumble to bring him back. That's what I'm excited for.
Oh my goodness. And be sure that when these things happen, the Biconics will be first in line to be talking about it, especially the Raw squad here. Unfortunately, this does bring us to the end of this week's edition of the Raw Squad review, but fear not, we will be back next week with our Monday Night Raw review as we continue to build towards Survivor Series. If you liked these reviews, you can check out other Raw Squad reviews as well as other weekly recaps here on the Biconics YouTube channel. Follow us all over the social medias at BC WrestlePod when you want to get notifications, out of context clips, and just some very, very weird hot takes half the time. Also,
Mhm.
if you enjoyed the memes, we're slowly cranking out memes, so those are going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
And then,
just
of
we're just gonna be
course,
rocking the Emma from now on because we miss her.
that's going to be the Raw Squad thing. We're going to do the
Yep,
Emma dance.
yep. Do the
And
Emma
then,
dance.
if you disagreed with our takes in this review, you should definitely go try out the actual Biconics Wrestling podcast because we say some out of pocket things over
Hmm.
there. I was like, this is the tame version. If you want the more unhinged version, you go subscribe to that podcast where all podcasts can be found. It's a great time. But my Puerto Rican brother, and as always, it is so good to have you on the crew officially and on more occasion than just popping out here and there. So I I look forward to these Monday Night Raw reviews.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited. I'm glad to be a part of the group, and I can't wait till next week.
Oh, absolutely. But from myself and from all the rest of the Raw squad, as well as the rest of the Biconics guys, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, stay Biconic, you beautiful bastards. But until then, we'll see you for the next one. Until then, ta ta for now.